have nothing against Richard Lee. I think he probably did it to the best of his ability. I have no doubt. I have no doubt. I'm not going to be here to accuse Richard Lee of doing something wrong. I'm not. I'm saying he probably did have the best intentions by putting this forward. However, he's not the one that gets to implement the law. The law enforcement people get to implement this law. And when I read it, as if they were reading it, you're screwed.
Okay, let's get the questions.
Hello, Los Angeles. My name is Richard Eastman. I'm a person living with AIDS. I'm a person living with AIDS that stood with Jack Herrera and Dennis Perone in 1994 and 95 to pass Proposition 215, and I sat on the committee that drafted SB 420. And Jack Herrera died on the stage fighting the taxation of marijuana, and Dennis Perone and I are certainly not going to die fighting the taxation of marijuana. But we want you to know that we did not do this so that you would have to pay tax on your medicine and you would have to be ruled and regulated. And this initiative was poorly written, and it really, the devil is in the details.
Okay.
So read it carefully. I urge you to vote no on Proposition 19. Thank you.
All right. Actually, we need some questions.
Questions from the
question?
My name is James Shaw. I represent the Union of Medical Marijuana Patients, and we sued the DEA back in 2007 over the landlord letter issue. And I'm sorry that I've only begun to weigh in on this issue in the last week, but yesterday, I'm forming my question. Yesterday I got on the internet to find the law that's written on this. So if you go online to find the law, there's a part online that's missing, and that's the lawful activities.
What's the question?
So the question is that when it actually comes down, there's two parts of the question. One is with regard to the intent. It states the intent in this, and where it says intent and it says what law will not be affected, why does it not list the Compassionate Use Act and the Medical Marijuana Program Act? That's a question of Jeff Jones. And the second question is where it lists what is lawful, the lawful activities, which you can't find online so easily. I searched yesterday. It does not mention it does not mention that the Compassionate Use Act and the Medical Marijuana Program Act are exempt. So I'm wondering why it doesn't say that in the lawful activities. And they have it in their printout here today, but you can't find that online. Can you answer that, Jeff?
The first part of your question I can answer for sure, because Rob Raich, who worked on my legal case that went to the U.S. Supreme Court, including the Angel Raised case, actually reviewed this initiative on my request and found that the best section to amend to protect Health and Safety Code 11362.5, which is Prop 215, and SB 420, which is 11362.7, is in the purpose section. And the reason why the purpose section was amended in 7 and 8 is to protect and codify that this particular law, which is an adult law affecting only adult population, leaves apart those two citations in the law. I don't understand the second part of the question, and I have to look at the two versions that you're holding as to why they're not current. But again, our initiative is online on the yesonprop19.org website or taxcannabis.org website under the About initiative, read the initiative. It's completely posted free. You can download a PDF copy. It's not that difficult to find. So again, our intent was not to strip away rights of medical patients, but enhance adults that are over the age of 21. And the other side was saying that every medical patient would have no right to grow. And I just disagree with that. In the city of Oakland, there's a law that actually has existed since 2001 that says you have 32 square feet as a medical patient to grow. And if you want to collectively grow 3 patients together, it's under 100 square feet. That existed prior to Prop 19. It is now Oakland law and will exist past Prop 19. So I don't get where these possible plausible possibles are coming from when actual foundation, what exists today, is different.
Another here. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Hey, my name is Sunshine, and I just have a question for the entire panel, or you guys, I don't know. My question is, if it gets legalized, wouldn't Big Tobacco and Philip Morris come through, get a place like this, and just swamp out all the dispensaries and everybody who's been working so hard to have a small business to be able to pay their mortgage and screw up our economy even more?
Can you hear me better? Okay. What happens if that goes legal is that the way it's written, it's legal where cities and counties say yes to. So like the 141 counties that are out there that have already placed a ban, they don't have to open their doors, and neither do all the ones that are sitting in a moratorium. So you will have a select few issues, places that you're going to have actual access to medicine at. Now, as far as growing and having a big warehouse for it, isn't it strange that Mexico wants to legalize if Prop 19 passes? Where do you think those jobs are going to go? Where do you think the tobacco industry are going to do their growing? Where do you think even Americans are going to do their growing for down there, where you can pay labor $1 a day? Yeah, you might be able to get some prices reduced, possibly. But the cost could be tremendous.
Another question?
My question is for the yes on 19. I've just heard, can everybody hear me? Okay. I've just heard a lot of, during the campaign, I've heard a lot of, I'm not a lawyer, I don't know how to do a legal analysis. I've heard a lot of throwing at me who is in support, people that are very knowledgeable about medical marijuana, that are in support of Prop 19, and that's the reason why I should support it. Or at least I felt like that should be a reason because I can't analyze it myself. So my question is to you, those people that have that information, those legal consultants, does anybody there stand to make any money out of their consulting if Prop 19 passes? Do they stand to make any substantial amount of money with consulting to other firms? Do they stand to gain anything out of Prop 19 is what I want to know. Because to me, I just kind of want to know what your opinion is.
The attorney that actually wrote Prop 19 is an environmental attorney, and he has no history in marijuana law and doesn't really consult to set up dispensaries. And he actually has an environmental law background, writing initiative laws. So he has wrote initiatives that have been placed on the ballot before. We picked somebody outside of that mindset because we didn't necessarily want to feed into some law firm. We're not trying to build some defense agency in some sense. But what we are saying is that Prop 19 adds freedoms that don't exist right now. And I think the answer to your question about you were being listed and who endorsed it, because that's how campaigns work. The no side lists their endorsements. And what's funny is that we have the drug cartels and the cops coming down on the same side of this issue, but we have a lot of other people coming down on the opposite side of this issue. And the opposition is going to say that this is going to be drafted and implemented by police, but the last time I checked, they don't write the laws, they get to enforce the laws. The governments that we elect write the laws and adopt those policies. And in some cities, it's going to be very favorable. And I think that the list of many cities that have banned medical may be revisited just on medical alone. Because when you pass a law that says sales are legal, which right now the current district attorney in LA says no sales are legal, it ends that unclear part and allows a city that may think that they're not following the law to follow the law.
Your opinion is yes, they will stand to gain from profit though because they took part in writing the initiative, or they won't?
I just said the lawyer that wrote the initiative is an environmental lawyer.
So in your opinion, they won't benefit?
Any one of you can benefit from this law if you just go work with your local government and get a permit, whether you're a grower or an edible maker. I want to point out one line that seems to be completely ignored here, despite the fact that the courts will ignore the verbiage of the language if it is in direct conflict with the intent. And the intent is to further the purposes of Prop 215 and SB 420. It is to protect it. And the sentence that keeps getting completely ignored here is except as allowed under SB 420 and Prop 215, meaning you retain every existing right as a patient that you currently have.
Thank you.
I want to respond to what she said because it wasn't in response to a question. What she said is totally not true. And the purpose of Prop 19, the two purposes that are in here that you will see are: one, to give cities unlimited power to tax, regulate, and control marijuana, and two, to create a commercial cannabis industry. If you get this and read it, you will never find the word legalize or legalization in it. And so, if you will, pick up a packet from the booth, get Prop 19, read it, read this, it'll show you, and there's a bunch more stuff. If you want to know who's going to make money, be sure and get the orange one.
Okay, next question.
One last question.
I want to know why, if you have a state initiative, why are you giving all the cities and counties the right to control everything? Why isn't it just a state initiative with no bullshit from cities, no bullshit from counties, no bullshit from the LA district attorney? Why is this not a state initiative? Why is all the bullshit from the cities and counties involved?
Is that for yes?
Well, I think that it is a state initiative, and what it allows is an opt-in for local governments to commercialize adult cannabis for both commercial cultivation and for sales. What we found with Prop 215 is that the angle of blanketing it across the state and saying that everybody has to opt out has created a confusion and a patchwork of cities that are not allowing it because they have to act. One of the biggest backlashes that we see right now across the state is a collectible set up in a city that doesn't want it. It'll move to ban it, shut it down, and then feel like we set up that law to actually circumvent the city's rights. We're not trying to pick a fight with the governments themselves. We're trying to entertain empowering upcoming legislation, including the Amiano bill, which could be legislation like SB 420 that improves upon what is passed by the ballot. If we put too many things into the ballot measure, the government themselves can't open up this industry. We're trying to look at this as like the wine industry in the early 1970s that didn't exist in California, had no regulations, no controls, and now look at it. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry that many families are taking part in, many people are involved in, and it's not all being grown in Mexico. A lot of it's California grown and California bought specifically.
This is a question for the yes on 19?
Thank you guys. Professor Ness of the Marijuologist on LATalkLive.com, iTunes Radio. Check it out, the Marijuologist. Every Saturday. Plug. But I attended Amsterdam University at before in the past. I did check out their classes. I do want to say big ups to everybody, Jack Harrow, everybody that's in the movement, everybody that has done, everybody that has been arrested, everybody that has died, everybody that is affected, that has family members in jail. We all have to be aware. But with this prop, we have to read down every single line and know exactly what we're voting for, because this is very important. And this is like a three-part question I have for you guys. There is one that says that just like cigarettes, I guess now, you can't smoke with anybody under 21, right? Is that correct? You can't be around smoking cannabis around anybody that's a minor. Is that correct?
Well, everything involving smoking pot is illegal right now for adults. So yes, it's already illegal. No, if you're an adult, if you're an adult and you pass a joint to a kid.
Well, either way, that's one question, but I have another one.
Okay, that part of the initiative scares people. I just want to point out that that little section right there is current law, that we are reiterating current law, and part of that is to not scare the soccer moms. You know, I'd love to write the, free as a tomato, except we tax tomatoes. So either we write the regs or they do.
All right, guys, but listen, I don't want to cut you off because they're cutting me off here. But with the 5 by 5 by 5 square footage, who is going to go into our homes to inspect that we are abiding by a 5 by 5 by 5? That's Big Brother coming into your home to inspect and see what's going on. We cannot have Big Brother coming in along. No DEA, no CEA. Why, instead of taxing and regulating something that is illegal, why not turn around prohibition? Working with ASA to make 32 states legal and just end prohibition and the racism from 1937. No, come out there, bro, because all the racism from the Negroes, the Hispanics, and the Filipinos that made cannabis illegal now has to end. Not taxing and regulating patients that needed to have.
They cut me off. But you see why?
No, actually, guys, hold on. We actually have another seminar that needs to start right now. So this does need to end.
What we say is marijuana.
Problem, then you could go to jail for 6 months and pay a fine of $1,000. As far as smoking in the presence of a minor, wording of the initiative is, in any space while minors are present. What does that mean? We don't know. Does that mean she's present if a child's present and she's in her bedroom and you're in the living room? Are you in the same space? You're in the same house. Maybe if you're on your back patio smoking a joint, the neighbor's kids are outside playing soccer. Are you in the same space while there are minors? Maybe. Do you want to test it and find out and see what happens? Hope not. Vote no. Thank you.